Hi folks, we're back in the Cobb TV studio for our weekly talk with Cobb Commission Chairman Mike Boyce. And Chairman, it has been a busy week as we approach the summer. And this is the last week for those comprehensive transportation plan meetings.
Yes, we've done 8 already, and I believe the last one is tonight.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll put something on the screen here that shows you what we've been trying to do here to get the public involved in the process. We also, not only have we only done 8 public hearings, we've also taken our presentation to the Taste of East Cobb and the Taste of Marietta. And at the 2 taste festivals, we gave people the opportunity to have some spending money and then have them put into buckets where they want to spend the money. And it's a chart we'll show here. They're all over the map. You know, everybody has their wants. And that's because that's how it goes right now, is that we know that we have transit and transportation issues. We have 750,000 people in this county, and we probably have as many opinions as what we should do with our money if we get it and if it's approved at a referendum. But it just gives you an idea of why this process is so important, is that we have to find a way to narrow down these proposed ideas into realistic projects that come with a realistic price tag.
And even though the last meeting's tonight, the chance to get involved is not over. There's a video on cobbcounty.org of one of the CTP meetings that you can watch, and then a link to a survey that they would like you to fill out as well.
Absolutely, and I'd really encourage people to go to that link and use that survey. It's an iterative process. This is going to take 18 months for us to get through this, to finally come up with projects that we believe we can take back to the voters and ask them to vet this list before we actually put it out there in front as a referendum.
And I've been to a couple of these meetings, and people seem to be narrowly focused on transit, but it's really a whole lot more than that.
It's much more than that, absolutely, which is why, as much as we like to have people at these public hearings, people are busy, especially right now as we're coming into the summer months. Kids are getting out of school, they're thinking about vacations. The weather's nice, so you want to get outside. And so, plan A or plan B, do I go to a CTP public hearing, or do I go out and enjoy, a walk along the river? And so we have to make sure we're touching as many bases we can, and no one forum has the predominance of the opinion. We've got to make sure that we can balance this out. So when we come up with a list, it in fact reflects a broad public support for the projects.
Right. And as I mentioned, it has been a busy week. Just yesterday, we were at a ribbon cutting that's really, as I listened to what some of the speakers were saying, got a pretty good idea how impactful this is for the county.
Oh, huge. Yes, you and I are both at the Georgia Tech Research Institute. And as many of you know, President Bud Peterson, this is his last month, if not days in office, and he's going out on a high note. This project, this Research Institute is going to bring upwards of 1,100 jobs to Cobb County. And these are really high-paying jobs. These are jobs requiring technical skills, a strong academic background, scientific support foundations. And I mean to tell you, this plan to put them at Dobbins in the old F-22 building further knits this idea of using Dobbins as a joint use facility and embeds it clearly into the fabric of Cobb County. So, my hat's off to the chamber trying to find ways to protect Dobbins from a future BRAC. And I think one way of doing that is that you make Dobbins so important in our county, not just from the economy side, but from the culture that comes around these kind of facilities, that if you take that out, you leave a gaping hole.
Really was interesting to me to hear how some of the buildings they're using that were former Lockheed Martin buildings, some of the facilities date back to the B-29 bomber days.
Absolutely right. They were built, as we know, Dobbins started plowing the ground in 1942, and as the old Bell Bomber plant, and it is transitioned now. So not only is it just Lockheed Martin, it's also the Georgia National Guard Center, the Clay Center. We have the Army Guard has units out there, and I believe the Army Reserve has units out there. Other federal agencies are out there, and now we have Georgia Tech out there.
Yep. And what started this very busy week was as we transitioned into the sports part of our program, the big dragon boat race out at Ackworth Lake. I participated last year, and I think we came in last. So I did not participate this year.
It was beyond last, Ross. There was the other 3 teams, and then we were somewhere back in the cheap seats.
But we turned it around, though.
We did. And we had a whole year to go from worst to first. I'm really proud of the team. But, it's interesting, as much as we realize this whole Dragon Boat was for a great cause, to support programs for women who have breast cancer, the Loving Arms Foundation. And we get that part. But something, it was just really great to see these, I call them kids because they're all much younger than me. They got out there Thursday and they practiced, and we practiced hard on Thursday. We had a great instructor. And then even more importantly, to see the results of our commitment and our sacrifices to win on Saturday. And of course, I would go without saying that all year long we've been trash talking with Mayor Derek Easterling from Kennesaw. So we couldn't live that one down. I've been telling him for months now that he's going to see the wake of our boat. But the mayor is a gracious guy, and I'd hate to see, he took it well, and he had some great comments at the end, and I cannot say that we're going to look forward to coming back again next year to defend our title.
I'd say, knowing him, though, he's going to come back at us hard. So it's going to be, next year will be interesting.
In a different costume.
Yeah, well, always a different costume. You also had a chance to speak at a young man's event.
I did.
In the past week, and you wanted to talk about him.
I do. I was at an Eagle Scout ceremony on Saturday night at one of our community centers. And I go to a lot of these programs, both military and for scouting. And I always have I don't do a prepared set of statements for the Eagle Scout ceremony because every Eagle Scout does things differently. But this young man, you pay attention to this guy at Christian Flournoy. He's 13 years old. He's already an Eagle Scout. He has already earned more than 30 merit badges, plus additional awards and honors. He is a very focused young man. And I told him that night that his job now is to become a mentor, to get the kids who look up to him and make them realize what I achieved you can do, so take a leadership position. And also when it comes time to write a check for him to run for county chairman, I'll write him a check. So he's got a bright future. Eagle Scout is a unique award. Very few, I think 4 or 5% of scouts earn this award, but they don't appreciate that it sets them apart already at this young age to be somebody different in life. It's kind of like some things that you achieve in your life, but being an Eagle Scout, that's something that makes you unique and different and special. And like I said, he might get some sense how special is, but later on, as he's around people and he's successful, and there's no doubt in my mind he will be successful, he'll come to realize a lot of the people around him are also Eagle Scouts. So my hat's off to him, and particularly his family. You have to have strong family support, parents, grandparents, and they were all there. And I just going to say here, if he's typical of what America's future looks like, we're in great hands.
Well, speaking of the future, tonight also we graduate our second Cobb 101 class. And just describe a little bit about what that program is and how the participants benefit from it.
Yes, it was something that was proposed when I first came into office by county managers, that we want to get people more involved, not just in our process in the county, but we also want them to understand that this county has many facets. And I've been shadowed today by a young man who wanted to see what I do every day, so I've been taking him around my various functions. But the thing I pointed out to him was that you have to have professionals who run this government. This is not small town America here in Cobb County. You have to have people who know what they're doing, who have been trained, educated, and have the motivation to be part of a 760,000 member county. This is not for lighthearted people. This is not for someone who just comes in and earns a paycheck. You have to have the right attitude about working in county government. And I think that what we want to do with Cobb 101 is we want to give a selected group of people an idea of all that this government does. And we do it so well that they don't see it because we do it well. It's like everything else in life. If you've messed up, people are going to know who you are. When you do well, they just take you for granted. And our biggest challenge is that people take us for granted because we do things so well. So this is one way to get people involved. And what they become, as I'm going to tell them, they become our ambassadors. They're going to go out there and tell their neighbors and their family, hey, my gosh, I just went through a 10-week program here, and you would have no idea how much the government is involved in making sure that you can safely live, play, and work and pursue your dreams in this county. So tonight's our second night, our second class, and they're going to become our biggest advocates because they have seen what our great staff does. Because indeed, it is our staff that makes us look good.
Right. And I interviewed the graduates after the last year, and you could see it in their faces, like you said, they had no idea.
I had no idea.
Really what goes on in this county and,
Right.
and how many people it takes to really make things run smoothly.
Absolutely, and it's a team effort. And again, also idea that this is a county that have had leaders and visionaries in the past, like Mr. Hankerson, who put together the Excel program of finding middle-level managers and bringing them into a program where they get an idea of how the county can work together so that if they go to another department, they just fit in synergetically to what we do here.
Okay. Well, if you want to be involved in one of the next Cobb 101 classes, we'll be putting information on our social media about how to apply for the next class. That'll be the third class coming up next year. There is a selection process, so we'll guide you through that. Subscribe to the Chairman's newsletters, our other newsletters, and our social media to keep track of things like the Comprehensive Transportation Plan and everything else going on in the county. And we've got a lot going on and a lot to stay focused on, so follow us.
Okay, I'll see you out there on the trail.
All righty.